Good morning, everyone. I'm so excited to welcome you to today's webinar, Eliminating Risk by Automating Technology to Ensure Compliance. My name is Olivia Johnston, and I am the Assistant Account Executive at FMT Consultants. I'm joined by the Partner Program Manager of Avalara, Christy Whipple, as well as Fawaz Hussain, who is the Channel Sales Manager of Notice Technologies. For those in attendance, please know that this is an informational learning session that goes over tax compliance and credit card security compliance. Avalara assists in complying with tax regulation, and Notice Technologies provides services pertaining to tax PCI regulation. They will be going over some of the challenges and risks in the industry, and will also further discuss what options you as GP users have to protect yourselves. Before we dive in, for those of you who aren't familiar with FMT, I'd like to take a few moments to give you a brief introduction of our company. Here at FMT, we have successfully completed over 1,000 projects. We've been in business since 1995 and have been serving clients for over 20 years. We are Southern California's leading provider of Microsoft integrated solutions and have over 285 clients in both the United States and Canada. Our team has significantly grown over the years, with currently over 80 team members both in northern San Diego as well as Los Angeles. At FMT, we pride ourselves on our 5 core values: integrity, service excellence, collaboration, innovation, and passion. In doing so, we can confidently say that with the combination of talent, experience, and methodology, we are fully dedicated to the success of your company. We offer a wide array of services pertaining to ERP, CRM, SharePoint BI, and Office 365. In addition to having extremely experienced consultants, we also have a dedicated customer care support that offers ongoing training and support projects after they are completed. Not only do we pride ourselves in product expertise and a wide array of solution offerings, but we have also won a handful of awards, including Best Places to Work, as well as multiple small business awards. Here are just a few of the clients that FMT, Avalara, and Notice get the privilege to work with on a daily basis. And of course, one day we hope to add your company to this list. Now I'm going to hand it over to Christy and Fawaz, but before I do, if at any time during the presentation, if you have any questions, please feel free to type them into the comment box. We will be monitoring it during the entire presentation. Thank you. Christy?
Thanks, Olivia. So we are here today to talk about sales tax compliance and PCI compliance. And where it stems from is some of these trends that you're seeing here on the screen, which you might be experiencing from a personal standpoint or professional standpoint. We're noticing more and more people are using credit cards to pay for their products and services versus sending a check. And more people are expecting the option to pay for those services online or to shop for the products and services that they want to buy online with e-commerce. So today we're going to talk about how you can adapt to some of these trends while making sure that you are in compliance. So first we're going to talk about sales tax compliance. It's hard to imagine why any company wouldn't want to change their go-to-market strategy to include or at least rely more on e-commerce. There's some obvious benefits, which include a reduced brick-and-mortar cost, flexibility and product agility. You can expand your customer reach and profiling ability. Plus, you can sell your products and services online 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And on top of that, you get another channel to market to. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Adding e-commerce can provide the type of growth companies need to keep shareholders and stakeholders happy. But if it's not handled properly, growth can be inhibited by risk factors like broken processes and lack of compliance. And reporting is another beast. A VentureBeat article cited issues Target faced when they came out saying that they had double-digit growth, and the SEC asked them, what does this actually mean? Do we need to come in and regulate the reporting here so there's a better understanding about e-commerce? And then Target later admitted to the SEC that its online sales growth was negligible. Well, we could spend all day talking about how to adapt your go-to-market strategy to add or expand to e-commerce. Let's focus on one area that's often overlooked, which is risk. The simple truth is that e-commerce can expose your business to various types of risk where you least expect it. Case in point, your sales tax compliance process. From the point of the transaction and the speed of the behind-the-scenes sales tax rate determination, all the way through to the reporting, filing, and remittance, business sales tax compliance process is likely to be rocked by online sales. Sales tax compliance is very complex. The rates and taxability rules vary depending on where the seller and buyer are located, what products and services are involved in the sale, what type of company you're selling to. For example, if you're selling to another business that is exempt from sales tax, you have to manage for that. When it comes to sales tax compliance, the word nexus refers to your obligation to collect and remit sales tax in a given state or jurisdiction. Initially, nexus was determined solely on whether or not you have a physical presence in that state. But now with online sales increasing and states losing revenue from that sales tax, from losing out on the sales tax, some of the states are starting to get really creative with the way they're changing the definition of nexus in their state. Here's a list of some of the activities that could give you nexus now, and these are ever evolving. It depends on the specific state that you're in. Obviously, if you have multiple office locations, you're obligated to collect sales tax in those states. But in some states, having hosted data centers, resellers, using drop shippers, and even just attending a trade show can create nexus and a new obligation to collect and remit sales tax in that state. So what does that mean to you if you suddenly have to collect sales tax in more than one state? Well, this colorful map that you can see here represents the 12,000 different taxing jurisdictions across the U.S. And each of those jurisdictions has its own rates and rules, amounting to 35,000 different rates and 30 million different taxability rules and exemptions. These rates and rules are not based on zip codes either. So if you're basing your calculations now on zip codes, you may be providing the wrong rate, which can ultimately cause problems with you and your customers' relationships. If you're over, and if you're under, it'll cause problems with the auditor. I mentioned the numerous taxability rules that can vary from state to state and even between jurisdictions, which sometimes can mean something taxable here might not be taxable right across the street in a different jurisdiction. Here's one of the wacky examples we like to use. This Milky Way on the left is not taxable, however the one on the right is, but why? Well, there's one very important ingredient. Flour is in the candy bar on the left, but it's not in the one on the right. In some states, flour is the determining factor between what makes an item candy versus a food item. So if the Milky Way can be considered a food item, that means it's a valid choice for breakfast, right? The government says so, then I'll go along with it. Here's a list of various products and services that have some tricky taxability rules that you want to look out for from state to state. The way software is taxed, for example, is extremely complicated and has so many different variations across different states. And when it comes to clothing and school-related products, tax holidays come into play, so you have to be careful and make sure that you are taxing those products correctly based on the time of year it is when you're selling them. For those companies that do business with other companies, the sale may be exempt. But if you aren't charging sales tax, you need to be able to provide the auditor with proof in the form of an exemption or resale certificate that was valid at the time of the transaction. Just like with sales tax remittance, states have different requirements around exemptions that you'll need to plan for. So a large part of your business is exempt sales. Making sure you constantly have the most up-to-date certificates filed securely can be a full-time job. It might seem like selecting a company for an audit is totally random, but the truth is the auditing process has become more scientific in recent years, as auditors attempt to understand where to best devote their resources to get the most revenue for the state. Here's a list of some of the common mistakes that could get you on their radar. If you're audited once and they found errors, there's a good chance they'll come back. If the returns you're filing have errors or haven't been filed on time, that will definitely be an indicator for the auditors as well. So how do you eliminate the need to deal with any of these quirky and complex compliance factors? That is where we come in. We have a full end-to-end sales tax compliance solution that can automate the entire process for you and guarantee compliance. On the far left column here, you'll see details about AvaTax, which is our tax calculation solution. It'll also validate the address, manage product taxability and sourcing rules, plus provide sophisticated reporting to you on the back end. In the middle column here, you'll see the components of our exemption certificate solution, which will automate the collection, storage, retrieval, and renewal of all of your exemption certificates electronically. And finally, over on the right there, you'll see pieces of our return solution, which will pull together all the data we collected when we were doing the calculation, prepare a liability worksheet for you to review at the end of the month, and then we will file and remit on your behalf to all of the proper taxing jurisdictions with all of the correct forms and at the correct time when those returns are due. Now we're going to jump into the conversation about credit card processing and PCI compliance. So Fawaz, take it away.
Thank you so much, Christy. That was very informative, and thank you, Olivia, for the great introduction. Hi, everyone. My name is Fawaz, and I'm Director of Sales here at Notice Technologies. What the topic that I'm going to cover is from the payments, electronic payment processing side, and where does PCI compliance comes into place. Now, as Christy mentioned earlier, the trends is that people are using credit cards, electronic payments, and e-commerce. It has become very, very, very popular. Credit cards has become one of the largest, the most popular method of payment. In fact, there was a study done that shows that by 2018, there will be 288.59 billion transactions that would be processed through credit cards. This is obviously beneficial for both the customer as well as the merchant. For the customers, it's easy because now they don't have to carry cash around. It's secure. They don't have to write any checks. They can track their purchases through statements. And most importantly, a lot of these credit card companies give you excellent rewards to use credit card, which motivates customers to use credit cards. And from benefits of merchant, there are a lot of benefits that come from the merchant as well. If you're taking credit cards from your customers, because first of all, everybody wants to pay with credit card. And once you take credit card from the customers, the funds are directly deposited into your bank account, usually within 24 to 48 hours. There's a lot more secure because as a merchant, you don't have to handle cash anymore. And then also there's a research that shows that people or customers who pay via credit card, they tend to spend on average 20% more money than people who pay by check or cash. And I think this is something that all of us can relate to. Now, speaking of trends, when it comes to online payments, another very, very important or really big trend is online shopping, e-commerce. The e-commerce has become extremely popular. All of us have, we go online, we shop. If not Amazon, then there's so many other, pretty much every store has an online visibility now. Now, the important part of having e-commerce system, it gives customers an ability to shop whenever, wherever they want, and they can shop 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They don't have to wait till the mall is open, and they don't have to go search or go to the mall only in their geographic location. So another important big benefit that comes with e-commerce is it broadens the customer's base by allowing merchants to expand globally. So unlike having a brick and mortar store, your website can be accessed throughout the world by anyone. Now all of a sudden your traffic is not just dependent on where you're located. Everyone across the world can access your web store and make purchase. And then of course it allows merchants to cross-sell, upsell products too. So it has become very popular. There's the study done that says that 85% of the world's population who has internet has access or have shops online. So you can see there's pretty much everyone these days have made purchases online, becoming extremely popular. And along with that, what another big trend that has been now is paying your bills online. People are also going online to pay their bills. It's very beneficial for customer and for merchants. For customers, they can easily pay their bill anytime they want. They don't have to wait till your location or office location to be open so they can walk in and pay the bill, or they don't have to wait till you're open so they can call you, or they don't have to write you a check or send it out in a mail. So it is becoming extremely beneficial and convenient method for customers to pay their bills. And along with that, there's a benefit for merchants. Merchants can cut down on paper cost. They don't have to send paper bills out. They don't have to worry about sending reminders, sending statements, because all of that can be done online now. Merchants have to no longer worry about deal with physical bank deposits. They don't have to take cash deposit in the bank, or they don't have to take all the checks that they have received, deposit them in the bank. And then, of course, from accounting perspective, since we're all GP users, merchants don't have to worry about entering those payments into the accounting system, because an online bill pay systems are usually integrated. An integrated online bill pay system can do all that accounting entry for you too. So it actually cuts down a lot of manual entry, data entry work from merchants as well. And another study that was done, that majority of the customers, says 45% of their bills online, most of the consumers like to pay their bills online. So, and this is again something that we can all relate to. All of us and everyone we know, basically, if we have an option to pay a bill, we will pay online. And there was another study that was done that shows that majority, I think it was like 37% of your customers who pay their bills online, or who have access to pay their bills online, tend to pay their bills on time. So these are some of the trends that has becoming extremely popular, and something that we can all relate to. But with this, there are a lot of problems and risks associated as well. In 2012, 39% of surveyed Americans said that they were concerned about online shopping insecurity. A lot of these threats were in the areas people were worried about: identity theft, they were worried about credit card fraud, personal security, internet security. And why wouldn't they? There has been so many incidents that we hear about in news on very regular basis about some big corporation or some big organization being victims of data breach. Some of the big ones that happened in a recent history is the Target Superstore breach. I'm pretty sure all of us can relate to that. Then there's Home Depot, Neiman Marcus. There's so many other companies that has become victims of the data breach. So that is why a lot of cardholders, or many Americans, are concerned about this, the security that associated with electronic payments. But what is the reason behind it? Why is this compromise happen? Why does the data breach occur? Most of the time it happens because of ineffective patch management, no security scanning, or weak network level security or malware, or lack of real-time security monitoring. So these are all some of these software and network-related reasoning why the breach happens. But one of the most important reasons why the breach happens is due to non-compliant or improperly deployed payment application. Software solutions or applications that process payments, if they're not certified and if they're not compliant and if they're not installed or deployed in your environment properly, that is one of the biggest reasons why a data breach occurs or why the security threat breach happens. Now, this data breach is very, very expensive. Especially for smaller businesses. There was a study done that says that an average cost of a data breach to a small business is $36,000. Now, it may sound like not that big of a figure, but if you put yourself in a shoe and if you think about it from a small business perspective, it is a pretty big cost. But what's worse than that is there was a study shows that 31% of the customers terminate their relationship after with that company after receiving notification of a breach. So if you as a merchant became victim of a data breach, then there's a very high likelihood that a good chunk of your customers may terminate their relationship with you because now they're afraid to do business with you. So cost is one thing, but losing customers is really, really big deal. So this is essentially where the PCI Security Council comes in. PCI Security Council is Payment Card Industry. That's what PCI stands for. PCI is an organization that has been established to protect credit card holder. All of us are credit card holders. We all use credit cards. Our customers has credit cards. So PCI Security Council is basically essentially what is responsible for protecting the cardholders' data. This PCI Council was initially established by Visa and MasterCard to reduce fraud, but now it's maintained by the PCI SSC and is enforced by all the card brands. So essentially what PCI Security Council does is that it makes sure that the credit card holders are protected. And how does it do that? It makes sure by making sure that every merchant who's accepting these credit cards or who's taking payments, they're following the proper guidelines or they're following the proper compliance regulations. So that's how the PCI Security Council makes sure that credit cards are, the credit card holders are protected. Now, the way it works is there's many factors that are involved in getting PCI certification, and it's typically a risk-based approach that is applied consistently year-round. And there are 12 major requirements that addresses around physical, technical, and administrative controls. But the most important thing is that, one of the most important things is that it's not a one size that fits all. Your requirement could be very different than some other company's requirement, depending on your business, depending on the nature of your business, the type of clients you're dealing with, the type of credit cards you accept from your customers. Your requirements to be PCI compliant could be very different than someone else's. So it is a tailored solution. It's not one size that fits all. But the important part to remember is that as a merchant, it is your responsibility to report your compliance status to your processor, which is your merchant bank. Also, it is your responsibility as a merchant to protect your customers. Now, who does it apply to? PCI applies to everyone, any company, every merchant, anyone who accepts credit card, it applies to them. There's a very big misconception about PCI and Security Council or PCI compliance is that, oh, it only applies to big organizations, or it only applies to companies like Walmart. The fact is that anyone who accepts credit card data, or anyone who accepts credit card as a method of payment, any merchant, it applies to them. And it can apply to in any shape or form, whether you take that credit card, whether you're a retail brick and mortar store, whether you're an e-commerce store, whether you're taking phone over orders over the phone. As long as you are accepting credit card as a method of payment, PCI applies to you. So it applies to everyone who takes credit cards over there, or who takes credit card from the customers. You are, as a merchant, you are required to be compliant the day you begin accepting credit cards as a method of payment. And it is your responsibility to meet all the PCI standards. There's a SAQ, is a self-assessment questionnaire. It is your requirements that you are within the full standard of compliance and you're following all the proper security measures. Now, maintaining the compliance, it's up to you. It is an ongoing process. It's not a one-time event. So when you start, let's say you started taking credit cards for the first time, you went through the compliance process, it doesn't end there. You have to do quarterly scans. You have to, it's an ongoing process where you have to keep maintaining the compliance with the security compliance. And there are many, many benefits to why you should maintain these compliance. Some of the big ones that are that I have listed over here is, number one, if you are maintaining your compliance, then you tend to get better rate on your transactions from your bank. So remember, in the previous slide I mentioned that you are responsible to notify your processor or your merchant bank your status of your compliance. So if you are compliant, then your processor, your merchant bank, gives you better rates on your processing fee, on your credit card processing. So this way you can end up saving money on your credit card fees, processing fees. Then of course it reduces the risk of breach. The fact is, of course, it doesn't eliminate. Every time you secure one door, there are people, who are trying to find thousands of backdoors in the system, so it doesn't eliminate, but it does significantly reduce the risk of breach, because PCI Security Council throughout the year, they keep investigating, they keep researching, they keep figuring out better and better ways to secure, to make the system secure or make the process of payment processing secure. And as long as you stay up to date to those regulations that they come up with, and as long as you stay up to date with the compliance that they come up with, you can significantly reduce the risk of breach. But another important benefit that you get is that in an event that a breach happens, you are in a safe position if you're compliant. So let's say you're following everything, you are going through the proper PCI compliance process, and you are PCI compliant, but then again somehow there was a breach that happened in your environment, you will be in a safe harbor because you stayed compliant. So compliance with state data protection and privacy requirements for your customers' information is also obviously a very important part. And so now this is where Notice steps in. This is where Notice Technologies as a company, our expertise comes in, where we can help you as a GP user to ensure that you have proper certified application. So one of the most important thing that as a company that we focus on is on the security aspect of the solutions. So all the payment applications that we offer as a company, we make sure that they go through the proper PCI compliance process, and then we make sure they get certified before we launch them, or before we roll it out or deploy them to our customers' environment. There's this really important website that you can take a note, you can note down. It's called PCISecurityStandards.org. You can learn a lot about PCI compliance over here. You can learn about the industry, the new trends on the PCI, the new regulations. But most importantly, you can also search for certification listings. So any company or any solution that has payment processing capability, if it is certified by the PCI standard, then they are or they must be listed on this website that I just showed you. Now, maintaining PCI compliance, there are a few different methods of how do you maintain that. You can maintain that through encryption, which is basically encrypting the credit card data securely on your environment. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. And then there's also methods where you can tokenize the credit card data, so you don't have to store anything on your own servers. There are some methods where you can use hosted checkout pages, which I'm also going to talk about, so technically on your e-commerce site or on your website, you can allow customers to make payments, but you don't host that payment page. This way the credit card data does not touch your environment. And then of course there's another solution that we have offered. It's called PayLink, which helps you collect the credit card data or credit card number from your customers securely without ever exposing the credit card data to your environment. But let's talk about some of these security very quickly, just to give you an overview. What is encryption? Some of these security methods. So encryption is one of the oldest security method. What encryption means is that you are locally encrypting all the credit card data in your environment. So it means that you are storing your customer's credit card data within your, let's say GP in this case, within your SQL database. But it's okay. It's okay to do that from the PCI's perspective, as long as you are encrypting it or you are securing it via PCI regulations, which means that the application that you use to secure that credit card numbers in your database or to encrypt those credit card numbers in the database, you have to make sure that those applications are certified by PCI DSS. So as long as you're doing that, you are okay. It's not, in my opinion, it's not definitely the most ideal way. Ideally, the best, what I have noticed, what a lot of our customers prefer, and what the easiest way to do it is to tokenize it. What tokenize means is that instead of encrypting any credit card data on your servers, you're going to tokenize it, which means that you're going to keep it somewhere else. You're going to tokenize it outside of your network. So this way, you don't have to store any credit card data in your environment. So no encryption necessary. The credit card data is not touching your database. It's not residing on your database. So that's that's basically the new trend in the security where a lot of merchants, a lot of organizations are moving towards. So I'm going to kind of tell you just a little bit about, think of it as a method of tokenization is basically a cloud-based payment application that we have introduced called PayFabric. And what PayFabric does, it basically allows you to secure all your customers' credit card data in a cloud. So this way you don't have to store anything in your environment. And the way PayFabric works is that essentially you can store all the credit card data over here in the cloud. So this gets connected to pretty much all the major payment gateways across the United States. Well, actually, these are some of the major payment gateways in the world, but these are some of the most popular ones in the US. So you can use any payment gateway you want for processing, and it can be connected to any of your application, whether it's your GP, whether you're using an online bill pay system, whether you're using e-commerce, if you're using CRM, or even if you're using any custom developed application, you can call the same PayFabric API to process payment. So from three important things from the PCI's perspective that helps you with compliance and that PayFabric helps you with is, number one, your point of entry is eliminated. So this way you're not storing even at the initial time of entry, you utilizing a hosted payment page, so this way the credit card data is going straight from your customer's hand to the PayFabric cloud, so it doesn't touch your GP, or it doesn't touch your e-commerce or any of your application or your servers at any point. Then transmission is, of course, which means that the processing of the credit card, that happens on the cloud as well, so this way you're not processing any credit card in your environment. And then, of course, what I talked about was storage. That's why this way you're not storing any credit card data in your environment either. Another option that as a GP user that you also have is there's a method of collecting payment. It's called PayLink, and what PayLink is that from GP I can send customers a hyperlink in an email or a text message that customers can click on, and then they can just enter their payment information, and that payment information will come back into GP. So this is, it's basically you sending a request to a customer to collect payment from them. So let's say if I'm a GP user and if I want to collect money from you, so instead of me asking you to read me the credit card number over the phone or mail you or email me your credit card information, I just send you a hyperlink in a text message or an email. You click on it, enter your payment information gets saved on the cloud, gets processed, and comes right back to GP. So these are some of the methods that can help you tremendously with PCI's perspective. So just to wrap up, this is how Notice can help. We offer secure credit card processing solution for GP and CRM, which are certified by PCI Security Council, so you can securely process credit card inside of GP. We offer full e-commerce, integrated e-commerce application for B2B and B2C e-commerce needs. Again, all of our applications are certified by PCI. We have PCI certified online bill pay solution, which helps you to allow your customers to pay their GP invoices online. We also offer encryption tools, sales order processing, remote sales order processing tools. And then because as a company we specialize in payment industry, we do offer payment processing service as well, so we can help you find the most suitable gateway and processor with the least the lowest rate for transaction cost as well. So having said that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it back to Olivia. Olivia, the floor is yours. Olivia, are you still there? Christy, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Well, now's the time when we wanted to open it up for questions. So if anyone has questions, now's the time to type them into the chat area on your screen, and Fawaz and I will get them answered for you. I haven't seen any questions come through yet.
And as Olivia mentioned earlier in the beginning, she will send you this a copy of this presentation, so this way you can share it with your team members, and you will have our contact information. If you do come up with any questions now, or even if you come up with any questions later, or if your team members have any questions, feel free to reach out, and Olivia will will help you get in touch with us.
Okay. Well, it looks like there's no questions, so looks like we will end it here, but thanks everyone so much for joining us, and we hope to hear from you soon. Let us know if you have any other questions. Thanks everyone.
Thank you everybody.